Hi guys, and welcome back to SwitchUp. A big thanks to our guy Evan who has written this review, and I've edited it and added a few extra details in as well, so this is a bit of a joint effort. The best way to describe this game is if Left 4 Dead completely dropped zombies and adopted a futuristic world where aliens are the main enemy. Thank you to the developers for the review copy. Does it stand up to the likes of what Left 4 Dead accomplished? Let's find out.
Ah, I got alien goo in my mouth!
Earthfall originally released on Steam in July of 2018 and was created and published by HoloSpark. It's a 4-player cooperative shooter that was obviously inspired by Valve's game Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. There is a story of the game that you can unlock as you play through, but it's mainly told in the lore database via text and some pictures. In regards to controls, they're quite good. Anytime I play a first-person shooter on a console, I immediately jack up the sensitivity to the max to imitate a mouse and keyboard as best I can. You can choose between 6 different control schemes, so I'm sure that there's one for everyone. Now, say it with me everyone. Are there gyro controls in Earthfall? No, sadly not. I feel like they would have been great for this release, but too bad, they're not here unfortunately. The base setup allows you to aim down your sights and fire with ZL and R respectively. You can also shove aliens if they get too close, jump, lob grenades, and crouch. Your D-pad controls a flashlight, your health pack, if you're carrying one, a stim shot for use on other players, and a rather robust chat wheel to speak with people online. As far as we can see, there's no voice chat. Every character in the game is voice acted, with their own quirky personalities. Generally, the controls were good, with nothing to really complain about. They worked as intended, but as I'm sure many of you, I would have loved to have seen motion control implementation. You're given the option to choose between 4 different survivors to play as. Your overall in-game profile can reach a max of level 65. As you level up, you'll unlock different cosmetics for all of the playable characters and camos for your guns. It's quite refreshing since you can change how your characters and your weapons look, adding to the replayability of the game. Each level lasts roughly half an hour, unless you're taking more time than needed to explore. While fighting your way through the 16-level campaign, you will find a wide assortment of special aliens that will try to bring swift death to you from every direction. Don't fret though, because you do have quite a lot of options when it comes down to defending yourself. Starting a level will equip you with a pistol that has a fixed clip, but unlimited ammo. Every other gun in the game will have a finite amount of ammunition that can be replenished with the crates scattered around the level. Similar to my last review of Sub-Level 0 Redux, I'm glad to state that Earthfall utilizes the HD rumble in the Joy-Cons and Pro Controller very well. Each gun will rumble slightly differently depending on what you're firing. You're able to carry 2 weapons at any given time. This can be one heavier weapon and a pistol, or a pistol and a fire axe. Or you can just dual wield the pistols and yell sweet, just like I did for most of my runs. Now I've got to interject here, Evan. You might have yelled sweet, but you ran round like a headless chicken. And then I had to come and resurrect you, but let's carry on with your review. Each player can also acquire health packs and a few different kinds of grenades as you explore. One very cool feature of Earthfall is the Deployable Barricades. There are quite a few times throughout the campaign where you'll have to defend against a swarm of enemies. The Deployable Barricades can be used to block off certain pathways so that you can funnel the aliens into a confined area where turrets and miniguns can be set up for maximum defense. The barricades can also be upgraded with certain elemental types to make them more powerful. Some levels have health stations and 3D gun printers, but you'll need to power them before you can use them. You'll see the phrase, "this will attract a swarm," a whole lot of times as you play the game. Now these swarms of enemies are a commonly used mechanic that are implemented multiple times per level and can feel a touch contrived at times. Every level is unique because enemy spawn locations are seemingly random each time you start a run. That's the problem though, because that might be the only random aspect of the game. I wish each level had a touch more variety. All weapons are found in the exact same spots every time. The quest objectives are always the same each run, and the special, super-powered aliens that you spot will always spawn in the same general locations. If there were maybe 2 or 3 variations of where the guns could pop up and what path you took through a level, I think I'd enjoy the game much more. What is here though is very fun, and the online aspect in particular is quite seamless. Setting up a party for just your friends is easy enough, and Mark and I were able to quickly jump into a match together. We experienced no lag or internet slowdown, and the performance was very solid in this regard. Resurrecting your downed friend as they cry for help across a snowy map is as thrilling as I thought it would be. Overall for me, gameplay scores 16 out of 20, and those controls, they're decent, I just wish they had motion. They score 17 out of 20. Visually, you can easily see where the developers had to cut some corners to make sure the frame rate runs well on the Switch. Trees off into the distance look very blurry and they don't move. There's a noticeable pop-in as you approach parts of the map, and some of the aliens look robotic as they walk towards you. Firing a flamethrower just doesn't exactly look the best. Take a look. But most of the important structures, they're decent. Even when all hell breaks loose and you're firing at anything that moves, there isn't a huge amount of stutter in the game. In terms of the frame pacing, that stays quite consistent, but that frame rate definitely drops down. I would say to my eye, you're looking at around about 20 frames per second when there's lots of enemies on the screen, with the average probably being closer to 30. The aliens themselves, they look okay. There's a good collection of them that stand out from each other. When shot, limbs will be dismembered and react physically how you'd expect. The in-game character names are replaced with your Nintendo Switch IDs, so it's very easy to keep an eye on your friends whenever they might be in trouble. And the character designs were really nice, I thought they worked well. In handheld it looks okay. A similar experience really to docked, perhaps it's running a little bit more consistently, and it really feels like with a patch or two the game will be very good indeed. But as it is, those slight performance drops down to the 20s in a shooting game where the action is so intense are definitely going to impact that final score, even if it didn't necessarily detract from the enjoyment Mark and I had. Visuals score 13 out of 20. In terms of the audio then, all of the aliens have a very unique cry or a certain song cue whenever they arrive into the action.
Everyone ready for this?
Similarly to Left 4 Dead, whenever one of these enemies is spotted, you'll hear a character say their name, which was actually quite useful. They'll also clarify it once they've been killed, so you don't have to worry about always having eyes onto those targets. The in-game music is appropriate also. During big swarm sections, it'll pick up intensely to match the flow of combat. I do have to mention that it is sometimes hard to hear whenever you're being attacked from behind. A touch more in terms of an audio cue wouldn't have been amiss. But one thing I will mention, and something that's very important indeed, are the weapon sounds themselves. If you've ever played a Battlefield title, you'll be familiar with the acoustic change when someone's firing a weapon from a different direction. And I think they've done an excellent job of those distant rifle shot sounds. It might seem like a minor thing, but when you've got a downed friend halfway across the map and you're sprinting towards them and you can just hear those distant pops of rifle fire, it really does add to the intensity. For me, audio scores 16 out of 20. The game retails at £17.99, €19.99 or $19.99. And it is quite a shame that it doesn't offer split-screen multiplayer, but judging by the slight performance issues, I can see why. Value would go through the roof if it had that option, especially since we're talking about the Switch and all of those rooftop gaming parties that we partake in. It would have been perfect. The game also offers an invasion game mode that's separate from the main campaign, with another whole set of maps to play on. The main takeaway here is that this is a very fun experience. I do think that this is a very fair price for the game. There aren't too many games like this on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a ton of fun even if you are just playing with random people on the internet. There is also a great deal of content on offer here, and when compared to Left 4 Dead, you're looking at a similar amount. Is it better than that game? No, it isn't, and performance does need a few improvements, but for me, I give value still 17 out of 20. So in summary then, Earthfall is a decent port for the Nintendo Switch. It's not Witcher levels of smooth, and a few patches down the line, invariably it's going to be an even better experience. A big thanks again to HoloSpark for the reviewed copy. Earthfall Alien Horde scores a SwitchUp score of 80%, which it has to be said I think is the same score we've had from Evan for the last couple of reviews. Illuminati confirmed. A big thanks to all of you who watch the channel. Please let him know down in the comments. Big thanks to those patrons. All the links are down below if you want to join them. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!
This is more pain than I can handle!